Welcome back to the weight room today, people. Today we have a special guest. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Spencer. I am a recent graduate from the University of Kentucky. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Education, focusing on kinesiology and exercise science. I am currently taking a gap year to do the most awesome thing of going to more school after this. I will be applying to PT school, but in the meantime, I'm really just studying for the GRE, and it's so fun. It's the best thing ever. So thank you guys for having me on the podcast. I really do appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Someone with real experience and knowledge too, brings a lot to the table.
Yeah. So what is the GRE?
GRE is basically the ACT, but 1,000 times worse. For anyone who doesn't know, the GRE stands for Graduate Record Examination. Okay, so you have the ACT, which tests you, I believe, in math, science, reading. The GRE just tests you on math and verbal, and then you have two essay sections. But the problem is, the ACT, how long is it? Like 3 hours. GRE is about roughly 4.5 hours with 1 10-minute break.
Yeah.
So it's,
can't imagine. Props to you.
Don't go to graduate school. That's all I have.
So what do you want to do when you get done with graduate school? What are your plans? Or what do you think your plans are?
So the current plan is to probably just go to some sort of outpatient clinic. So I want to specialize in orthopedics, but I also want to have a background in sports performance, strength and conditioning. A few of the schools that I'm actually applying to offer kind of a concentration, if you will, in those respective fields. And that's something that I really want to get involved with. Now, I'm not expecting to go immediately into a sports team, but that would be something I'd really, really like to do.
Right.
And maybe do something related to nutrition, because that's something I like it or enjoy as well. So all around, it's just I want to be more involved with sport performance and all that stuff, even though I never really played sports.
Interesting. That's interesting. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Being around sports is fun because it's like you're always around other people that are also athletic and working out and stuff like that,
Yeah, absolutely. And the culture that the strength coach or any sort of athletic related person or athletic related coach in that field, they can bring a lot to the table. And I really believe that my high school has the luxury of strength coach.
Pause. And Daniel went to Trinity. He went to Trinity.
Go Rock.
Yeah.
State.
Yeah, for sure. What year did you graduate?
16.
Oh, I was 14. Okay.
He actually interned.
Yeah. Yeah, I was over there last year.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
So, or intern was Coach Snyder, Mike Snyder.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's the man.
He is. He's a really good guy and knows his stuff for sure. I mean, for how young he is and how much knowledge he has, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's constantly learning and trying out, new things all the time. So it was awesome to be able to do that.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: when I got into lifting and stuff, here's the thing. So I never wanted to get into lifting. So the thing was, I had to take a class to fulfill, an elective, like a sports elective, I think. And I just chose advanced strength and conditioning. And I thought it was just easy A. All I do is pick things up, put them down, and I get an A. But it actually turned out to be a great class, and Coach Snyder was a huge reason for that. Coach Snyder was he's an incredible mentor, and he's just a great guy overall.
So is that where you began, lifting weights, you would say? That got you into it? That class was, the introduction for you to even, what you're majoring in now?
Absolutely. Coach Snyder and that class is the reason why I am so involved with all this stuff. Now, I will say this. When I graduated fraternity, I had no idea what the hell I was going to do. It really never clicked to me that I really enjoyed fitness. Now, of course I enjoyed it, but like I didn't think I wanted a career in it because there were a lot of things going through my mind. I thought about even going to culinary school at Sullivan.
Wow.
Wow.
That'd be pretty interesting. But I decided to go to UK. I majored in history. Pro tip, don't major in history. Not if you don't want to read. I'm not saying that history is a bad major. It just wasn't fitting my goals and what I really wanted.
Yeah.
After. So it was the summer between my freshman and sophomore year, and I called my cousin Matthew. I called him up and I said, hey, I'm really thinking about switching to kinesiology because that's what he majored in. And he was like, you can totally do it. Classes are, quote, hard as shit. I said, okay. So I switched anyways, not really knowing what I was doing. But it turned out to be a great decision. It was, all the classes that you take as a KHP major. And, it's really awesome to be able to learn all that stuff because there are so many misconceptions and fallacies and a lot of just, fact versus fiction that really need to be dispelled. And I think being able to be a person to come in and say, hey, maybe we should try this approach. I think it's wrong to say that there's a right or wrong approach. I think it's just, well, yeah, maybe that could work, but maybe this could be an alternative to something that you're trying to do. I think, going back to your question, yes, Coach Snyder in that class, I would say it definitely sparked the cause for it, but I didn't really recognize it until I realized, okay, I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. And then that's when I decided to switch.
I kind of had the same or a similar experience with having an interest but not really putting the dots together of this is what I kind of want to do until a little bit later on.
Yours was always like a workout, sporty theme, wasn't it? As an athletic trainer, that's what you started as, right?
I started as athletic trainer because I really didn't know what athletic trainer more or less was. I mean, I know kind of like they help out when you get hurt. And then when I realized that, it was kind of like, well, I'm not too interested in like the injury side of the thing. I'm more interested in the prevention and the strengthening side of things.
How was that? The athletic training stuff.
Honestly, I never even went to like a real class for it. I declared it as my major, and then like before even the middle of like my first semester, I changed it. I went to like a major fair that they had, and I was looking around at all the different things they had, and I saw exercise science, and I never heard of it, and kind of got some information on it, and I was like, well, this is more of like what I want to do and the population that I'm more interested in dealing with.
Absolutely.
So, do you want to tell what we're going to talk about today?
What are we going to talk about?
Oh, you don't know.
I don't know, because I didn't get the document, so I don't really know what we're going to talk about.
It's a shit show. So we're going to talk about just some health tips and stuff like that for college students.
Okay.
What do you think?
It's good. I think college is a time where not a lot necessarily, but you go into it, and, when you're especially a young kid, you kind of get to do what you want to do, and you don't really have any health impacts.
Yeah.
When you're a kid up until probably about 18 or 19, 20, whenever it kind of hits you, you can do whatever you want, and your body type is going to pretty much stay the same. You don't have to worry about much. You're going through puberty, or your body's changing in that way, but it's not like it's because you ate a cake and you're going to go gain 5 pounds, like something silly that people say all the time.
Yeah.
So I think it's like right around that college age where you start to see, like people talk about the freshman 15, stuff like that, where doing small little things can help prevent that from happening, can help, not that you necessarily have to worry about gaining a little weight, but it can help your actual health in general, you know.
Yeah, like mentally and physically.
Yeah, because your mental or your physical health really does impact, you know, your school and your studying habits and your sleep, and that all kind of gets tied together with how you're gonna do in school.
Yeah.
So just keeping your body healthy can really make a difference in your classroom performance. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have anything to say, Spencer?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing, and trust me, I mean, I think a lot of people overthink, you know, when people say you have to eat right in college, you got to stay active in college, you know, staying active and eating right. I mean, guys, like, we don't need PhDs in this stuff to know this. I will say this. Freshman 15 for me was like the freshman like 25. I gained so much weight. Now, that I was a little bit more, I was definitely a lot more ignorant in terms of nutrition and stuff like that because, you know, there's, like I said earlier, there's a lot of misconceptions on the internet and everything else. But in college, definitely you got to take your time to, because some people, especially if they played sports in high school, their bodies are already like pretty metabolically active.
Right.
And let's say they go from that kind of background to not playing sports at all. Maybe they just, you know, get their exercise from walking and stuff, and maybe they go to the gym a few times a week. Cool, great. But your metabolism, if it doesn't have to use more energy than it needs to, it's going to slow way down, and that will definitely impact how much weight.
I think that's where the freshman 15 gets a lot of like people because I mean, not everybody's an athlete in high school, but I feel like everybody's like semi-active doing something, like whether it's like intramural or just like riding bikes with friends, like, you know. And so like your metabolism is faster, but then you go to college and you're only walking to class for 30 minutes a day. You're not really even like raising your heart rate on the walk to class probably. Like, unless you're sprinting to class because you're late.
Right. Plus, you have to take into account, you know, just your metabolism as a child is going to be a little bit higher than your metabolism as a young adult.
So just the transition from being so active in childhood to more sedentary, and like in high school, you don't, like in college, you're in your dorm or like you're hanging out with friends in their dorm or at the dining hall. But in high school, like, you can't, at least in my high school, you couldn't, like, eat throughout the day. Like, you ate at lunch.
Right.
And then you went home or you went to sports and you had, like, a snack. And then you had dinner. And in college, there's just a lot more opportunity for binge eating. I don't want to say binge eating, actually.
Just uncontrolled eating.
Yes.
Like, your habits, you don't have a structure anymore. You have to figure out your own structure.
Grabbing for things. Yeah.
You have to figure out your own new schedule because in high school, everybody's telling you what to do, where to go. But in college, it's like free world. You can do what you want when you want. And you kind of have to figure out through trial and error how you're going to make the whole schedule work.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And the transition from high school to college can be rough, especially if you're not good at time management. It will slap you in the face.
Yeah, absolutely.
So really sit down, and after that first week or first 2 weeks, sit down and think about, you know, how can you improve your time management with school, with friends, with any other extracurricular activities such as, you know, recreational sports or recreational lifting, because no, you're not going to get the most perfect balance, but you can optimize it to what your personal goals are. If you want to emphasize your studying more, then go study more. I don't really know like what to say exactly. Just go to the library more, get out of your dorm. Because for me personally, I could never study in my dorm. I had too many distractions, TV, phone, whatever. If you want to get more physical activity more, just go on a walk. You don't have to go on a run.
Yeah.
I mean, I always advocate for resistance training because I think it's the best kind of, you know, exercise that you can do. But not everyone wants to put on a lot of muscle, and everyone is goal oriented, and that's the biggest key point is what are your goals, So I think shifting that kind of focus onto each certain aspect of your life to really try to optimize and get the most out of it is the most crucial part of it.
Yeah, and I think a really important part of balance, and just like being able to do your day-to-day routine and go to the gym and go to class and study and all the other stuff is sleep. Like, sleep is one of the most important things that, to me, in college just gets thrown out the door. Like, all my friends make fun of me because I go to bed at like 9:30, 10. Like, sorry, like, I'm on a schedule. I like to wake up early, get my shit done, go to class, feel good. Like, I'm not staying up till 3 a.m. to study for a test that if I started studying a week ago, then my sleep schedule stays the same, and I'm probably going to perform better on the test.
I don't think anyone can stress how important sleep is. It is a basic function of the human body or any other living organism. To get your rest and to really replenish yourself, not only mentally but even physically, is so important. And like you said, if you start studying for a test a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, an arbitrary amount of time in advance, you're likely to get more sleep because you're not staying up till 2 or 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
There's not as much pressure.
Yeah. And I see a lot of people, a lot of my friends are guilty of this, and they'll wait till like 2 or 3 days before, and they'll, complain to me that like, oh my gosh, that's so much studying. I'm like, sorry, you should have started it earlier.
Yeah, they pop an Addy for 3 days straight and then wonder why they get like a 60 on a test.
Yeah. Their body's falling apart, and they're just like, well, I don't know why this. It's like, how much sleep did you get last night? It's like 3 hours. It's like, well, no shit. So I think it's so self-evident at this point that you should just get your rest. And if you don't happen to get enough rest that night, take a nap. Nothing wrong with taking a nap.
I think it's so, like, weird to go to bed early in college that it's, like, more normal to stay up till 2 or 3 a.m. and then wake up to go to classes at 9, that people don't realize how good you feel and the energy that you have when you go to bed earlier and get your 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep that your body really needs.
Yes, absolutely. Going off that point, I think a lot of people try to rely on stimulants way too much. Now, don't get me wrong, caffeine and coffee, really good. I enjoy my coffee just as much as anyone else does, but come on, it's not the end-all, be-all for me. Like you said, if you get your amount of sleep and you're sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours, I don't know how you get 7, 8, 9 hours if you had like a sleeping disorder like insomnia or, God forbid, anything else. But, and that kind of doesn't apply. Like if you have insomnia or narcolepsy, this advice is
different situations. Yeah,
like out of my scope. The benefits of good sleep, like I don't need to bring up any studies to back up my claims, right? I think it's pretty out there. You can sleep more, you feel better. That's it.
In my opinion, you know how like you said there's so many facts versus fictions on like fitness and nutrition. Sleep is the one thing you can say, why is sleep important on Google? And the 3 answers that it like first pops up are probably true. Like you can just go with those. Those are true.
I went kind of in a weird sleep pattern for, I can't remember what year it was, but where I was literally getting like 2 hours of sleep per night. And it wasn't just like because I was studying, it was just my weird pattern of not being like being able to go to sleep. And it was pretty rough there for a couple of weeks when, I had an 8 a.m. lab and then I was up till 5 or 6, just crazy.
At that point, like even coffee can't wake you up enough for an 8 a.m. lab, you know?
And at that point, I'm thinking it's even worth going to sleep because you're going to be more tired when you get up than right now, probably. So it was pretty rough.
What 8 a.m. lab was that?
It was like a cardio lab. I can't remember what the exact name was, though.
He went to NKU, not UK.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I remember, like, I would tell a lot of my friends, you need to go to sleep. And I know deep down they want to go to sleep. Of course they want to go to sleep, but they want to pull off this appearance that, no, I'm tough. If I quit now, I'm worthless, or, I haven't worked hard enough. Like, that's not really true if you've been in the library already for like 7 hours. So, yeah, I think it's that kind of like mental toughness thing or factor, because they don't want to come off as someone who's like, oh, I don't just want to quit or give up. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. Of course, like you have to be resilient in college. That's like the only thing that and discipline is what really, really gets you through through all of that. But I mean, dude, you're not gonna, that one day of studying is not gonna make or break you. It's the consistency of it.
Exactly.
That's the whole. Just like working out, you're not gonna get bigger in one session. It's going to take months and years.
I think also when you go to bed at, let's just say 2 and you have a 9 a.m. class, you're probably waking up at 8:15, where when I have a 9 a.m. class, I'm getting up at 7:30 to make myself a good breakfast. And if you're waking up at 8:15, you're either not eating breakfast, which is a mistake before going to class in my opinion, or B, you're eating unhealthy food for breakfast. Just a quick grab and go, or like, oh, I'll stop at McDonald's on the way to class.
I agree. I will say this. Sometimes, like for me, like whenever I ate breakfast, I just wouldn't feel as good in the morning. That's just a preferential thing. It could be happening for some people, but like you said, I agree that if eating in the morning, if you don't get nauseated from that, or don't feel sick, then what are you doing?
If you're going to eat in the morning, don't get me, like, if you can eat, you might as well schedule in time to wake up early and have a solid breakfast, not McDonald's, if you're going to make the choice to eat. Like, good food choices goes a long way.
I think this applies to a lot of college campuses. They promote the idea of healthy eating, right? How is it really healthy eating if the 3 things next to me are Papa John's, Taco Bell, and I can't remember the other place next to the 90. I think it was like Aka Sushi or something like that.
That, and there was like K-Layer.
Oh,
which
I
is
love
like
K-Layer.
like almost like, isn't it like burgers and fries?
Yes, and I remember my freshman year, they had a really good grilled chicken burger, and that was about the only thing that was really slightly nutritionally dense. You get it with fries, and I don't want to go off the wing and say like that there's unhealthy and unhealthy, but there's more optimal choices and less optimal choices.
Yeah, exactly. There's nutrients and then there's not nutrients.
Yeah.
I think people get so caught up on what's healthy and what's not healthy. If they eat a salad with a little bit of dressing, a moderate amount of dressing, with, some walnuts or chicken, or, typical things that go on a salad, they think themselves that they're a good human. And I don't know why people moralize food, because if you go on a limb and say, I'm good because I ate this salad that was full of protein and healthy fats, don't demonize yourself if you have like a milkshake or something.
Right.
What's the
right?
Build up to break yourself down. We're trying to empower people here, not put them into the dirt.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I agree with, yes, we should be eating more of the the more optimal foods. There's nothing wrong with indulging in a non-optimal snack, though, obviously. Good analogy that I heard from a strength coach. He said, let's say you're a quarterback and you complete 18 out of 20 passes. That's pretty damn good. Now consider that like a week of meals. If you eat 18 optimal meals, the other 2, why even worry about it? Don't beat yourself up over it.
Right. I think that feeds into something that's super important too, is compensating food for drinking, or, oh, I'm going out, so I'm not going to like eat this on Friday because I'm going to go out Saturday and I'll probably get cookout Saturday night. Like, I'm not going to get steak and shake Friday because I'll eat cookout on Saturday. Like, I promise you, steak and shake and cookout will not hurt you on the same day. Those 2 things will not hurt you if you're not making it an everyday thing.
I think you're absolutely right. People will starve themselves, deprive themselves of foods that they enjoy just for that alcohol, whether that's for just trying to maintain their weight. Maybe they're trying to lose weight. Who knows?
And I know a lot of girls, it's, oh, well, if I eat this turkey sandwich, I'm going to be bloated in my crop top. Like, no. The turkey sandwich is going to help you from throwing up.
Calories are not evil.
Yeah.
They are not something to be avoided.
I think people would be surprised at the amount of calories that, like, people like you, me, and Daniel eat in a day versus what they're eating, or even versus what they should be eating to maintain their weight, or even what they could be eating to lose weight. I don't think people understand the concept of calories and what calories really are. But so, like, there's just so many misconceptions about calories, and I don't know. It's just very annoying.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Daniel?
I think people definitely demonize calories and carbs and all that crazy stuff, but I do think it's kind of in a good direction right now, a little bit more than it has been. I think, in a weird way, I think social media has kind of helped in a way, if you know where to look. It's kind of given each person their own voice too, to say, hey, this is what I'm doing in the healthy way, instead of having, those, like back in the day, you would have a couple magazines that were, the fitness magazines, and they would be selling products, and it would be selling you the wrong message. Nowadays, it's more of like, we can all three go on there and say, hey, no, this is what, can really help you out. So I think social media in a way has kind of helped the perception of like carbs and calories and all the stuff that used to be looked down upon.
I think you definitely have to there's just so many pros and there's so many cons to social media. There's people on their journeys and there's people that are educated, And I'm not saying that people on their journeys are less than, but
I mean, people on their journeys though, like they're on their like if they're actually on their journey, as they call it, then and they're making, good progress, they can say, hey, this is what works for me.
Right.
Like, I've learned that this works for me based on what I actually do. Like, they're not saying this is working for me while what they're really doing is selling a product. Like, if they're doing that, then it's a different story. But, like, people that, real life experience, 100 years ago, everybody didn't go to college. 200 years ago, everybody didn't go to college. But that doesn't mean that people weren't still educated based on their experiences. So I think we still can value people's experience over just a degree or just having a certification.
For sure, but I also think that because there are so many misconceptions, you lose weight on your diet, and so you go to social media and say that, oh, I'm losing weight on this, and I'm not doing this, and I'm doing this. Well, what if that diet is so unhealthy for you?
Right.
And then they're sharing that diet, and now everybody wants to do that diet because, I don't know, whoever famous did the diet, so now everybody's doing the diet.
Right. There's still those influencers that have a lot of power over what they say.
Yeah.
But
a journey where you've done your research and you're like, I don't know, semi-educated.
But I think
versus like just, oh, well, here's what I heard and then I started working out type of journey.
Yeah. But you also have to put some responsibility back on the people who like follow that influencer. Right. I think it's up to them to say, oh, I wonder what this is about, and then kind of not necessarily go do research on it, but kind of at least get a better understanding of it.
Yeah.
It's always good to be skeptical. You should always question what you're hearing. It doesn't matter if it's me, you guys, someone with a PhD. You should always question. You should have a question for that person, and if that person kind of feels attacked, or like they respond like a not friendly man, kind of like challenge what you're
aggressively.
Questioning.
Yeah.
Find someone else, someone different to get your information from, because that's not who you want. I hate the word diet. That's probably really cliche.
We talked about that kind of. There's just so many. A diet is like for us how we eat, but for others it's like restriction.
I posted on my story one time, my Instagram story, that ketogenic diets are trash for athletic performance. Now, I got a response from one of my other friends named Joe. Miss you, Joe. Shout out to Joe.
Let's get Joe listening.
Yeah, Joe, you better be listening. Code word Spencer.
I believe he wants to be a physician's assistant. He wants to be in the medical field. He actually responded saying, yeah, you're absolutely right about athletic performance, but the ketogenic diet does wonders for people who have seizures, maybe people on diet who have diabetes. So, yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely 100% right when it comes to people saying, this diet works for me, so it'll work for you. Again, it's that client-oriented perspective. You have to know what they like, what they don't like, what foods make them feel sick, I guess, what foods they absolutely hate, and you have to apply that because, like I said, there's nothing wrong with having a non-alcohol snack, even every single day. Like, for me, I'm still trying to lose weight and stuff. I indulge here and there, and I've still made good progress. Calories aren't evil; they're your fuel, and I will die on that hill.
So I think with diets, there's a lot of social pressure to diet and to do what your friend is doing, or we're only going to go to the dining hall one time today because we don't need food.
Yeah,
there's a lot of social pressure in college, and that if you let your friends roll you, for lack of a better word, I guess.
Yeah, kind of dictate what you do.
Dictate you, and you're just like a sheep rather than a leader. It can really be a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate the mentality that you have to exercise to get your food or earn your food. And I think that is so prevalent among
It's another misconception.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a dangerous road to go down.
For me personally, I'm able to go all freaking day without food. I can go to 4 o'clock without food.
I'm the complete opposite. I'll eat every 2 hours.
Daniel has alarms to eat, Spencer.
That's awesome.
So he doesn't get angry.
I wish I could do that. But the thing is, if I eat in the, 10:30? If I ate right now, I'd get so much more hungry again in 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I get a lot of cravings at night. So, yeah, I'll take the sacrifice from not eating right now. And I usually eat around 3 or 4. And because most of the time in the morning, I'm just studying or whatever, and I'm not really focused on, it's just a normal routine now. In school, I think, because I wasn't trying to lose weight as much in school, I think, Holly, you said that you wake up pretty early to make food and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I hated that shit. I always waited till after class, and it was most of the time I would say it was around 12 or 1. I would be starving. I'd run to the 90, get myself, whatever they had, or I think at the time Champions Kitchen was actually
Champions.
Open. I love Champions.
Me too. It's so great. Much better.
Waiting just sucks, and I hate it. Now it's different because I can just drink my coffee and, I don't even think about it.
Another thing is the social pressure of working out and, people working out only because I ate, like we were talking about. Or, I'm going out, so I'm going to work out. Or, I'm going on spring break, so I'll work out for the next month. And,
Mm-hmm.
It's never, I'm going to work out because it makes me feel better. Mm-hmm. Mentally, it's always, it makes me feel better physically. Or, I know plenty of people that work out and still hate the way they look.
It's a really good point to go off of because people will see this 90-day program or 60-day program or even 30-day program that promises them to get, wicked shredded, lose 30 pounds in 30 days. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Especially for spring break, like you said, or summer, or going out. People will see someone else. They look great. I want to be like that. So they'll go on this kind of they'll just slash their food intake in half and just ram up the cardio. That is the worst possible thing that you could do. So I think the Panko message would just be well, if you really want to look like the way that he or she looks, that's great, but one step at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say.
Right.
So you got to take your time with it. And I don't know. I just think that people get so caught up in these short
Instant gratification is
Yes.
an issue
Mhm.
in our
Absolutely.
generation.
And why even is it? The humility and the power you feel after going through maybe like a really long diet or really long muscle gain phase and putting on good weight or losing good weight and feeling totally good about your body is so much more gratifying than just trying to do it in 30 days. So much more emotionally.
Especially when it's 30 days and then I go on spring break and I don't give a shit about anything other than chugging beers the whole time. And so now that 30 days was useless, and when you leave spring break, you're probably going to feel worse than before spring break. It's just, yeah.
100%.
And I'm all for taking take your vacation. I don't think I work out during vacation ever. I'm not saying you should, but a quick fix is simply a quick fix. And exercise and living a healthy lifestyle should be a lifestyle. It's not a quick fix. Quick fixes don't last. And there's going to be another spring break. There's going to be another vacation. There's going to be another night out. So just incorporate it in your everyday life. And then it's not so hard to...
It's like the same thing we talked about earlier, where people want to cram for a test in 2 or 3 days instead of realizing that there's going to be a test at the beginning of the semester. You get the syllabus, you know the information, so let's study as we go. It's the same thing with the workout program a lot of times,
Yeah.
or lack of a program, but a workout kind of initiative that somebody wants to start. It's like, oh, you didn't realize that spring break was going to come this year, so you didn't start in August? Like, no, spring break's going to be here, so let's start now instead of starting in February when you go in spring break in March.
Yeah.
And Holly, I agree with you. I'd never work out when I'm on a vacation or any sort of stretch like that, because it's also important to just relax, man.
Yeah.
Like that's let your body recover. You've been pushing yourself. Theoretically, you've been pushing yourself for a long time, especially if it's a long-term thing. Your body most likely is dying.
Yeah. It's worn down.
That week's going to benefit more than anything.
Absolutely. Whenever I'm working out, or if I'm running into a really high wall of fatigue or something like that, I'll take a little bit of a deload week, or I could just take a whole week of not doing anything. I like to stay as active as I can, especially right now. I literally do nothing but sit inside.
Right.
So I'm going to go and do something, even if it's kind of like a light exercise. It's great. I think that also kind of relies, school. You don't have to go 100% every single time. If you split your increments up of studying for like an hour, or maybe even 2 hours, 3 hours a day, you're fucking golden. Like, why are you in the library for 9 hours, 10 hours, 3 days before the exam when you have been studying your butt off for, consecutive weeks or months?
Right.
Yeah. Spencer, you should do the honors this week. Should we let Spencer do the honors?
Of what?
The challenge.
Okay.
You can come up with a challenge for the people.
A challenge
It
for
can
the
be,
people?
it doesn't have to relate to anything we talked about today, but if you feel empowered by something we talked about today, it can relate to something we talked about today. It can just be to smile. No, it can literally be anything.
I challenge people for this weekend, don't talk about anything COVID related. Don't talk about any of the civil injustice. While there's a time and place to talk to that, obviously, I'm not trying to take away from it. It's incredibly important. But I think it's
a little mentally exhausting to think about the state of the world constantly. Take a break, take a step back.
Tears you down. I challenge people to take the weekend off from it. I'm not saying don't acknowledge it. Be aware it still exists. It's still out there just because you stopped talking about it.
Right.
But, and obviously I'm a huge advocate for, all this stuff. But there's nothing wrong with taking some time to yourself and just write things out when you're talking to family or friends. Talk about what you've been doing, what what you're excited for, what you're happy about, it can take so much pressure off of you mentally. It is amazing what happens when you just relax, you unclench your jaw, you let your shoulders drop. It's amazing what can happen when you just take some time off from all the shit in the world when it's all just seeming to fall apart. So
I like that.
That's what my parents, or not necessarily my parents, but my family on 4th of July weekend, I told them, I challenge everyone, including myself, to not talk about the bad things going on right now, because there's a lot of bad shit going on. And I think that could really benefit a lot of people, and just see there is still good in this world.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I agree.
And mentally, that's a good one. That's a really, like, that'll help a lot of people's mental health to just, like...
Take a rest day, bro.
Take a rest day on the heavy shit that you think about every day.
Yeah, I saw this Instagram post, and it said, I guess I was really stressed out, and it said, unclench your jaw, take your tongue off the roof of your mouth, and drop your shoulders. And I was doing all three.
Wow.
I was just like...
That's funny.
Wow.
And, like, just relax. Like, I remember one time, I think it was Intro to Fitness, KHP 210. Holly, have you taken that?
No, I don't think I have to take that. But I might take
Okay.
it if it's just an intro.
All you do is step aerobics and maybe a few other things. But my favorite one was when we laid in the cheerleader practice area. They turned off all the lights, and we would just lay there and practice relaxation techniques.
Wow.
So along with dropping all of, like, maybe stuff that's mentally wearing you down, even if it's not COVID or, anything related, work problems, family problems, etc. Find ways to just breathe, live in the moment, man. Go on a drive. I love drive.
Yeah.
So that's my challenge.
It's a good one.
Yep.
Well, thank you for your input and your time.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Spread the sound all around,
Spread the sound
Absolutely.
all around. Oh, I like that. Spread the sound all around. Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and follow us on Spotify. It's
And
called
share.
The Weight Room, if you haven't caught on by now.
If you're not listening, or if you're not really paying attention to the podcast, you clicked on.
What was that?
I don't know. What was that?
I was trying to
Anyways.
get your attention.
Okay. Well, you got it.
So, leave us a review, comment, share the podcast, do all the things, spread the word, and we will
Peace.
see you guys next time.